Hi everyone, Reverend Kimberly here. I am outside the church and I want to show you something. I'm going to roll down my window because it's a little too cold for me to just go out and stand out here in what? In the hot beating sun that we've had for the past several days and weeks? No, the snow. So I just want to show you, it is snowing in Fort Collins, and there's our thank you firefighter sign. And look, there's even snow here on my window. I'm gonna roll it up because it's freezing cold outside. And yes, this is strange weather indeed. I saw one of my Facebook friends posted, and it seems appropriate as a Baptist pastor that I would pass this along, posted the image from the weather where on one side it said fire and the other side it said fire as far as fire danger, and then right in the middle, snow. And they commented that wow, so that saying about something about that saying about hell freezing over, well, that's finally here. Yes, it is bizarre. And yet we in northern Colorado are terrifically grateful for the snow. And we had a fire that grew over 40,000 acres in one day, and was now at 100. Now I think it's mapped at 105,000 acres. And so wow, that was really scary for a lot of us. I know we had at least 4 families, including ours, that had to was under mandatory evacuation orders the last 2 days, and a bit of that has been lifted. And the firefighters are certainly exhausted, and we are so grateful to you all. And this morning, if you check out the Cameron Peak Fire Facebook page, we get updates twice a day. And Jake Livingston gave us the update this morning where he talked about it. So I encourage you to go there and check that out. Also check out northern Colorado. I think it's, well, you can check out the sheriff's office, and then there you'll get some information about the most information, up-to-date information about the evacuations. And I know a lot of people were scared and frightened and anxious, and some people still are. So I invite you, there's this thing about the gift of time, and with this gift of time, we have this snow, correct? And it's a chance for firefighters to get closer to the fire when it's safe for them to do so. Strange that a few days ago it wasn't safe for them to do so because the fire was so extreme and active and in terrible terrain, and now it's not quite super safe because of all the snow and ice. We don't want anybody to get stuck out there, but it will be safer for them in a lot of places. We were told, Jake Livingston told us today. And at the same time, we hear about people having to do evacuations quickly, very quickly, in Oregon and in California, which has been going on for a while. But towns are being decimated by fire. So one of the things that time gives us, my friends, is it especially when we're in kind of like a state where we're, having to have fled fire, for example, for a lot of people up the Poudre Canyon and north of there and south of there in Colorado, is at time like this where it's snowing, right? A freak thing in the middle of the week, in the first full week of September. One of the gifts is one, it gives us a chance to recalibrate, for us a chance to take some slow, deep breaths and look around and notice, oh, we are safe, and oh, the danger has calmed down and subsided. And certainly it's not completely over, but in a lot of places there, there's a very good chance that that most of us are going to be okay. Our homes are going to be okay. And so we can take this breath and this time to settle. So I invite you to do that. Take time to settle. If you're in a place where you don't have to run or flee, just take a few moments. Notice your feet. Notice your breathing. Notice around you. Notice the people that you're with. Notice that your body, but also notice outside your body. Just take a moment and find a space of safety and gratitude within yourself. Maybe you invite the God of your understanding in. And as a Christian, I imagine Christ and the Holy Spirit present with me. And maybe it's something different for some of you, because I know a lot of you who follow our page are not Christians. So find that space where the God of your understanding, or your source, your resource for grace and joy and safety, are present with you. And so that's one of the things that we have the opportunity to do with time. Time is good for that. Another thing is for us to turn our attention towards people who are in a similar state of danger. We do that people do that in 12-step recovery programs, right? The way that they stay sober, in fact, is by helping other alcoholics who are out there suffering, and being present with them, and journeying with them into their recovery, whether it's alcoholism or addiction or eating disorders or gambling or sex addiction or whatever it is. And that carries over to the outside of the 12-step world, right? We know what it's like to have fire nearby, and destruction and danger nearby. And so we can turn our thoughts and prayers outward towards the people in Oregon and Washington and California and other places where they are fleeing fire right now. And not only can we turn our attention and our prayers in that direction, but we can also think about ways that we can help. A lot of people have asked on the live calls that they have on the live Facebook and on all the Facebook posts, actually, on the Cameron Peak fire, how can we be helpful? And often they think about the firefighters, right? Because I think about them all the time. I'm praying for them and worried about them. They're going in towards the fire as we run away from it. And firefighters all over, and certainly their resources are slim. But a lot of the needs are not so much directly with the firefighters, although we certainly pray for them, but they're for the people in the communities, and people who have to leave their homes. And so for that, I have some suggestions. So American Baptist Church and American Baptist Churches USA, as well as the Presbyterian Churches USA and the UCC, and I believe the United Methodists and several other denominations, they all give to one resource, and that is the One Great Hour of Sharing. And you can go either to abc-ogs.org, or you can just go straight to onegreathourofsharing.com, I believe it is, and I did not put it on here, but you can Google One Great Hour of Sharing and go to their website. I think it's onegreathourofsharing.com, and you can donate. 95% of the donations there go directly to the mission of whatever the mission is of helping others, and 5% of it goes to interpretation. And so it's a great ministry to give to, and they're not going to be able to help people rebuild their house necessarily. That would be a Habitat for Humanity kind of thing, perhaps, or Red Cross, or your insurance, of course, if you have it. But they will be able to help with assistance for people. So if you give, and they help with all kinds of disasters, local disasters, and they do a lot of other work too for immigration and that kind of thing. So if you go there and you can give, donate money there, that's helpful. The other place, the places that are really in charge in at least in Fort Collins, and I believe all over for disaster relief, is the Red Cross, and you can go to redcross.org. For Fort Collins, you can there's a link there where you can look it up, or you can just Google Fort Collins Red Cross and find out how you can be helpful in and what people need, either locally here in Fort Collins or in Oregon, California, and Washington, and there's fires also burning in New Mexico and Montana and all over the place, but the big ones, I believe, are in those areas, and that can be a way to help. So I wanted to get some of that information out to you. Also, of course, always thinking about people who are already homeless, I know we had ash falling down from the sky in Fort Collins, and I'm sure there's ash falling in other cities and towns where people are homeless and they don't have a place to retreat to get reprieve from the ash and the bad air and the damage that it does to them is so great. So donating to your local homeless shelters. I know out here we have Homeward Alliance, and that's a great resource, and I'm sure you've got your resources in the towns that you live in as well. And so prayer, connecting to the God of your understanding, taking time to breathe. One of the things that I have realized is that this is a time where I have been seriously considering what's important to me. You know, whether it's going through my belongings and making sure that they're organized and that I have pictures of people that are important to me. Letters. I've got some old letters from my grandmother. And things like that. You know, I have the privilege of being able to have time to go through those things, and other people don't have that privilege, and I'm aware of that, and so I take that graciously, and also aware of the time of just finding out what is important, and the relationships that I have with people, with both my congregation and my congregation online and my family and my friends. Those relationships are really important to me, and so maybe you think about what's important, and offering gratitude certainly for each breath, for the clean air that I'm when I'm able to have it, and I'm aware that there are places in this world where they don't have clean air, they don't have clean water, and that's not to use their pain to make me feel grateful. That's not what it's about. It's about helping me to be grateful for what I have, and then be like, oh wow, I maybe should try to do something for those people that do not have it, and that's really important to me. I just wanted to share for you a couple of scriptures and relating to this time business. And they're all taken out of context, you guys. You really shouldn't take scripture completely out of context, but these happen to work out of context. And it's too much for me to like go into the context of these, but they happen to work. And the first one is Ephesians 5:16. And this is great. It says, and it's a continuation of another sentence, but making the best use of time because the days are evil. I'm not sure if days are necessarily evil and what they mean by that, but I mean, that's a long story, but the days are kind of crazy, aren't they? I mean, I've got a mask around my neck, right? Look at this. I got a double mask around my neck with Wonder Woman on the top of it, right? Because by the way, COVID is still going on, and fires are happening, and hurricanes are happening, and people are still homeless, and people are still being abused and hurt and starving, and there's still disease, there's still wars. I mean, like it's crazy, right? It feels really overwhelming, and for those of you who aren't close to that kind of experience, it does help us bring attention that, wow, there are people out here that experience what we're experiencing these last several months. There are people, maybe some of you watching right now, who are experiencing who experience that kind of terror every single day. And so it's good for us to have attention on that and to ask ourselves, oh wow, what can we do when we have this time and this space to relax, to settle our nervous systems? What is it that we can do for those who experience this every day? And and the other one is, for everything there is a season. And you guys probably know the song. This is from Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8. And that doesn't mean that like God set this up to happen right now, right? But it does mean that, wow, what can I do right now? What is it that I shouldn't be doing right now? It gives us a chance to sort of prioritize. And right now, the season of snow in Colorado means that we have a chance to sit back, settle, rest, and reevaluate and prioritize, and look at other suffering that might be around us that we might be able to help with. And then the last one is Psalm 90. I think it's 90, or did I write down 92? I don't know. Verse 12. And this is, of course, out of context, but it says, so teach us to number our days that we may get to the heart of wisdom. And that reminds me of the Serenity Prayer. And if you know the Serenity Prayer, you can say it with me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so my friends, may you have that wisdom. May you have that space. And for my dear friends who have had to evacuate their towns in Oregon in these last few days, and California and Washington, we at ABC are praying for you, and we're thinking of you, and we feel you, and are here if you need to connect. And so, yeah. All right, everybody. Much love to each of you. Bye-bye.